And then, and then what I wanted to also know on your guys' side definitely is so it was a bit supposed to be some a funny one, but based on Mr. Donald Trump's interacting with Ramaphosa, I remember you guys. It was one of your videos. You guys are like, Donald Trump's timepiece is whack. So which and
Yeah.
and they had a bit of an exchange, and Ramaphosa was like, I can't send you, I can't give you a aeroplane, Mr. President. So what should have Ramaphosa, what kind of watch Ramaphosa was supposed to gift Mr. Trump from your perspective?
Oh, no. I think, yeah, well, that video came from the heart. I think I could say we had our own opinions of it, but I think with that situation that happened, I mean, I don't think you can go too wrong with Patek Philippe. Maybe that probably make him smile. I would think a very nice limited edition Rolex makes anybody happy.
Yes.
Personally, I would say maybe a Patek. I mean, wear suits and dress up. Show
Yeah.
Yeah.
show off. I
And of
think
course,
it's good.
Mr. Trump himself is also a very, very big lover of watches, and we know he loves gold watches, which is one thing that was also mentioned in the video. So I think anything with gold on it, I think he'd take. But I mean, yeah, I mean, in terms of that, I would also go with a Patek Philippe, something with more refined, something like a Tourbillon with which has a complicated watch movement. I think that would be a sophisticated gift. I mean, if I was in the position to give to someone like him. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then, besides, besides branding, right? Good PR. Why do you think certain brands, be it Breitling or Hublot or Rolex, why are they so well versed? Why are they so well known? Why are they why does it, especially for us as black people, we are still new money. So why do people like us, new money, go to those respective brands? Or is does it go down based to just good PR?
I think just beyond good PR. I mean, yes, they have the bigger budgets, of course, but I think it's also time. I mean, one thing when we do our videos and we talk about history of certain brands, I mean, a lot of brands are 300 years old
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's just also what you're exposed to. We think that, and that's why we're here. We want people to be exposed to everything else other
Yeah.
than what you've been exposed to your whole life, which are the household names, Rolex, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Breitling, all the old guys
Yeah.
that are good and still do what they do. But I mean, the industry is so much bigger than that.
I
It's
can
it's
imagine.
there's literally hundreds and hundreds of watch brands around the world that we believe deserve a spotlight because they actually make up the rest of us. You know what I mean? And to your
Yeah.
point, with new money, I mean, yes, unfortunately, although we all want maybe a very expensive timepiece, it's not always attainable. So
Mm.
actually being able to still get quality and actually spend your money wisely while getting something you will probably like. It's also just down to exposure, we think as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely would agree. And I think for just to add to also to Tsakani's point is the reason why a lot of people go for Rolex and these high brands is what we're exposed to, but it's also the trust that they've gained with us.
Okay.
If a watch brand is over 300 years old, there's a certain level of trust. Everyone trusts it. That's why everyone goes straight to them. But also, I also want to also reiterate this point is just because a watch is expensive doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean it's luxury.
true.
Yes.
We believe as the dial, as luxury, a luxury timepiece is what you make it. I could be wearing a 500 Rand watch, but it could still look as good as a Rolex. Or I
Yeah.
could be wearing a 2000 Rand watch and it could still look as good as a Audemars Piguet. So we need to realize that also as new money black people that of course, yes, buying the Rolexes are great, but we also need to support local and maybe try out different things without hurting our grocery budget at the end of the month. If you know
Hey,
what I'm saying.
hey. I know this one wasn't on my questions, but what do you think is left for South African brands? If I can also put it like this, South African black watchmakers. What else is left besides capital injection just for them to either be well known or just to get the spotlight they deserve. Why can't they, for example, why can't they, for example, what you call sponsor the PSL or sponsor the Springboks?
Oh, for sure. We believe that, and I believe that that's likely going to be the next step. And also, just to even go further, we actually believe that Africa will be the center of watchmaking very, very soon. Of course, most of our watches that you see in the shops are from Switzerland, but why can't we as Africans actually make watches? Because we as Africa have all the resources that, most people buy, most other countries in Europe and in the Americas buy from us.
Yeah.
We will in one day in the future be able to make our own watches, have our own centers of excellence where we build a school for watchmaking and take young talented people from communities and teach them how to make watches, teach them to be artisans, and of course also teach them marketing skills, bringing it to your point of sponsoring the Springboks and being out there in the media. We believe that Africa is next and Africa can make watches.
And we've had the privilege to have met a few very, very skilled, highly trained Black watchmakers in South Africa already. And we can see that that trajectory is evident. It will happen. And we want to be part of that. And we want to support that because that's how we believe it should be. Because every other part of the world has their sort of say and their stake in the game. And we believe Africa should be equally up there with the very best because we, in many respects, already are. And so we want that to be in the forefront. And yes, of course, media, putting your name out there, being seen by people is one way, but actually having the quality in hand where it's undeniable so that when the person sees it for the first time, touches it, feels it, they can't deny that, okay, this is really, really good.
That's the one. And then my next question, how would you advise new money Black people to make a timepiece? Well, to make to yeah. How would you advise new money to meaning Black people to get a timepiece without hurting their budget? So if they want to be like a sneaker collector, for example, how can they also become a watch collector or a timepiece collector without hitting the budget for the end of the month?
Sure, that's a brilliant question. I think one thing people need to change their mindset about is that watches is not just the big guys.
Yeah.
And there's a massive, for example, secondhand market in the world. There's actual there's apps that you can get on your phone that are made for people who sell watches, and you can really go above and beyond. For example, vintage fashion is a thing. People look for old pieces of clothing for their style. Same thing with watches. You can go into vintage watches. You can go into the micro brands that we speak so much of, is that you get the same quality in many ways. And a lot of the watches, if not all of them, in fact, that we've had on the channel thus far, we've shown people like this is just as good. It is literally up to par. But to your point, you don't have to see, 300,000, 500,000, sometimes even R1 million. You don't have to even worry about that and still build a collection that you can be proud of. Because at the end of the day, watchmaking is personal and watch collecting is also personal. So, if you say, I really like this style of watch, it definitely exists for you. We just want to be focused on the exposure to show people that, hey, by the way, Rolex, great. Patek, great. AP, great. You can name all of them. Fantastic. Guess what? There's also these guys locally. There's these guys in these other countries, and actually saying you can still get exactly what you want and not be worried about, okay, well, if I get this watch, then I'll be struggling at the end of the month. There's no need for that.
Yeah, we definitely want our viewers and our audience to be spoiled for choice. We want to give them options and show them that there's a vast universe of watches. So that's what we aim to do all the time. That's why we always bring up new watchmakers in the industry and giving our audience the history of their watchmaker so that the consumer and the audience is empowered and they have the knowledge of actually doing their own research when they want to buy new watches.
All right. And then, actually, you guys speaking about the audience, you bring me up to the last question, which is, any new developments for the podcast for the rest of the year?
Yeah, of course. We want to keep expanding our content. We are actually in the process of having a new segment on the show revolving around fashion and watches now. We want to, in terms of styling and how you can put pieces together and what